Hi, Mike Miclot, and we're here at the Richmond manufacturing plant, the Belden's Richmond plant. I want to show you something inside this control cabinet. Let's take a peek. What you're seeing inside here is very typical of, let's say, a machine or even a cell or a line and some controls. Some very basic parts, all mounted on these things called a DIN rail here in the back. But the PLC is right here. This one happens to come from Rockwell. And that's sort of the brains that tells the machinery, when to move and when to react and respond based on things it senses. So the PLC and the brains are there. We've got a few, looks like some communication interfaces here from Siemens. And then we start to get into a lot of a different type of wiring, either lead wire, sometimes instrumentation and control wire that'll go out to some of the various different sensors and actuator devices. And then as you sort of move down, you tend to get a little bit more into the power of the machine itself. And so basically it's taking electricity, stepping it down, if you will, distributing electricity to where the device is needed. This big massive device here and its little cousin right next to it, these are VFDs. So these are the things that make the motors spin, and obviously here in Richmond and most of our cable and wired assembly plants, we've got a lot of things that spin, a lot of motors, and in some cases very large ones, and so this is a very common thing. So what I really wanted to point to you also is this little guy up here is one of our Hirschman Ethernet switches. Very common. Let's see if this one happens to be, I think it's an RS20, you can see here. This is more or less the final resting place of a lot of our RS and MS, DIN rail mounted Ethernet switches. They reside in a cabinet like this, and it's going to sit in a real close proximity to devices like this PLC. I'm sure they've got Ethernet running to the VFDs if I look close enough. And then they're going to have Ethernet that goes outside this cabinet. I was just shown on the other side, there's a computer, actually a Dell computer. So one of these connections, one of these ports is connected to the Dell computer, collecting a lot of information for the performance of the machine. And then the engineers, the quality personnel, a lot of the manufacturing type of functions can tap into that Dell computer, gather the data and information they need to optimize the process, maybe react to an alarm. And so you're seeing it right here in the Richmond plant. This is a classic example of how some of our wiring cable and our Ethernet switches from Hirschman wind up in a manufacturing setting.